It was always a matter of when, not if. The Nintendo Switch's hardware has struggled under the weight of modern gaming expectations for years, while its hybrid nature has delivered some of the most remarkable gaming experiences of this past decade. It has also come with compromises, dropped frames, low resolutions, and technical wizardry stretched to its absolute limits. Now, with the Switch 2 officially announced, the conversation shifts. No longer about working within limitations, but about what's possible when those constraints are finally lifted. I do want to say, we don't know yet if existing Switch games will receive upgrades, whether through patches, enhanced re-releases, or system-level improvements, but looking at the past, how Sony and Microsoft have handled backward compatibility, how games naturally do run better on updated systems, it's not unreasonable to imagine that developers could take advantage of more powerful hardware. And if that does happen, some games, they stand to benefit more than others. And why is this? Well, some of the best games on the system were miracles of optimization, feats of engineering that ran despite the odds. Others buckled under ambition, pushing past what the hardware could reasonably handle. And then there's those that are, let's say, in between, brilliant but flawed, where stronger hardware could finally unlock their full potential. You know, this isn't just about prettier graphics, it's about stability in games that struggled, performance that was once held back, and maybe even hardware-driven enhancements that were never possible before. So with that in mind, let's take a look at a selection of games that I think could truly shine if given the chance on Switch 2. Alright, so quickly I've got a task for you all. Head to the comments down below and tell me 2-3 games that you want to see get some sort of Switch 2 upgrade if that is a feature of this new system. Also, if you do enjoy the video, do me a favor and subscribe, helps out the channel a huge amount. Few games illustrate the fine line between technical brilliance and necessary compromise as clearly as No Man's Sky, a game built on seamless planetary exploration, limitless procedural generation, and the promise of a universe waiting to be discovered, or squeezed onto a system never designed to contain it. The Switch version captures the core experience, and it's impressive that it works at all, but the trade-offs are noticeable. You know, the game's defining moments, taking off from a planet, breaking through the atmosphere, seeing the curvature of a world beneath you, they are still here, yet the details take time to fully appear. You know, draw distances are aggressively scaled back, making planets feel sparse until you're close. Textures shift into focus as you move, and occasional frame rate dips make long voyages feel less fluid than they should. A Switch 2 upgrade wouldn't just make No Man's Sky look better, it would enhance that sense of wonder. You know, imagine vast oceans reflecting starlight, lush biomes visible from orbit, and creatures that feel like they truly belong in their environments rather than appearing at the very last moment. With more power, the game wouldn't just run smoother, it could better realize the grand, infinite universe it set out to create. The same philosophy then applies to The Witcher 3. Bringing it to Switch was a technical feat, and it remains one of the most impressive handheld RPG experiences available. But naturally, compromises were made. Lower resolution textures, reduced draw distances, and a drop in environmental detail take away some of the richness that made the game so immersive. The world is still there, but its depth isn't as pronounced. Now imagine stepping into a tavern where candlelight flickers dynamically, where Skellige's icy peaks actually glisten with reflected light, where the streets of Novigrad feel busier, its citizens moving with weight and purpose rather than fading in as you pass. A Switch 2 upgrade wouldn't just make the game look better, it would elevate the atmosphere, the immersion, and the world building that made The Witcher 3 a legend. And yeah, the need for a more powerful system doesn't stop there. Tears of the Kingdom may be one of the most technically ambitious games on the Switch, but even Hyrule isn't immune to hardware constraints. Large-scale physics interactions, vertical traversal, and chaotic combat encounters push the system to its limits, often at the cost of performance. Nowhere is this more evident than in the physics engine itself. Ultra Hand is a revolution in game mechanics, yet the very tool that defines the experience also stresses the hardware the most. You know, build something complex enough and the frame rate begins to waver. Fusing objects should feel seamless. Instead, it sometimes feels like the game is catching up with the player's creativity. A Switch 2 upgrade wouldn't just mean better performance, it would mean Hyrule feels limitless. Forests retaining their density, for example, as you move through them, villages bustling with life and reactivity, battles unfolding without slowdowns as enemy encounters escalate. Tears of the Kingdom, again, is already one of the greatest open worlds ever designed, but more powerful hardware wouldn't redefine it, it would simply allow it to breathe. That sense of scale and the struggle to maintain it is something Xenoblade Chronicles 3 knows too well. It also grapples with it. A world of towering cliffs and sprawling plains where the battlefield is in constant motion, but the Switch's limitations weigh on it. Resolution scaling in handheld mode turns the world into a blur. An environment rich in detail is always slightly out of focus. Even in dock mode as well, cutscenes, one of the series' greatest strengths, lose some of their impact as textures soften and edges alias. A Switch 2 upgrade wouldn't just be about clarity either, it would be about consistency, a world that remains crisp in both handheld and dock play, and then those cutscenes, and I guess the performance, just give it greater precision. I want battles that retain their energy, every attack fully in motion from start to finish. Finally, for open worlds, there's Hogwarts Legacy, a game that somehow managed to deliver an open world RPG on the Switch at all. A technical achievement, but one that came with compromises. Fewer NPCs, simpler textures, a version of Hogwarts that captures the structure but loses some of its energy. A Switch 2 wouldn't just improve the visuals again here, it would elevate the sense of place, the flicker of candlelight in the Great Hall casting real-time shadows, the castle corridors teeming with students, each moving around this world, spells that feel tangible, their glow lighting up darkened dungeons. I think what I want to say here about open worlds is some games need a next-gen leap to evolve, others just need room to be what they were always meant to be. Not every game, though, that came to the Switch was ready for its hardware. Some felt rushed, compromised, outright unfinished, struggling to meet even the system's modest expectations. A Switch 2 upgrade wouldn't just be about making them look better, it would be a second chance to deliver on what they were always supposed to be. Mortal Kombat 1 might be the most infamous case. The Switch version was widely criticised, and for good reason. Character models look like they belong in another era, animations outside of fights feel stilted, and cutscenes, normally a showcase for NetherRealm's cinematic flair, turns into a blurry, awkward mess. And yet, during the fights themselves, it's more than playable. In fact, I still had fun with it. The core combat holds up, and if you can tune out the distractions, the game still delivers that familiar Mortal Kombat flow. But everything else, the weight of fatalities, the impact of the environments, the visual polish that makes each character feel larger than life, it is all missing. A Switch 2 version could finally bring it in line with expectations, higher quality character models, dynamic lighting that highlights every brutal blow, and a fluid 60 FPS experience locked across the board. Then there's Batman Arkham Knight, and some ports struggle, others feel like they were never meant to happen. In fact, I think this game is unplayable. Arkham Knight basically falls into the latter category. Rocksteady's Gotham is a city that thrives on atmosphere, with rain-slicked streets, neon-drenched alleys, and a living, breathing skyline. On Switch, all of that falls apart. Textures drop to a shockingly low resolution, frame rates often sink well below 30 FPS, and the Batmobile, a core mechanic of the game, turns traversal into a jittery, frustrating experience. The fact that we have games like The Witcher 3 and No Man's Sky running on Switch proves that this port didn't have to be this bad, so whether it was rushed to market or simply given minimal effort, the result is the same. A version of Arkham Knight that fails to do the game justice. A Switch 2 upgrade here wouldn't just smooth things out, it would quite frankly save the experience. It would make Gotham feel like Gotham again. Those towering skylines should be incredible, the streets should be flowing with pedestrians, and the Batmobile should roar through the rain without the system crumbling under its weight. Some of these games deserved better from the start. A stronger system won't erase the past, but it might finally let them live up to their potential. I adore Yakuza Kiwami. The story, a masterpiece. Gameplay, as polished as ever. And on Switch, it is a great way to play. The effort in this port is clear. Combat still hits hard. and Kamurocho, the town it takes place in, it retains its personality. But the room for improvement is just as obvious. Kamurocho should feel alive, but on the Switch, it still feels slightly restrained. Crowds are thinner, lighting lacks depth, and combat, while smooth, doesn't always have the same snap it does elsewhere. The core of Kiwami though, however, is still excellent, but it's just almost the city's pulse is missing. Now I'm gonna say this, imagine Kamurocho packed with people, its neon signs casting proper reflections across the streets, and the combat running at a seamless 60 FPS where every punch, every heat action, and every chase sequence feels immediate. If Yakuza is gonna thrive on Switch, Kiwami needs to be more than just playable. It needs to feel like the definitive way to experience Kiryu's story. And that's where a Switch 2 upgrade could make all of the difference, not just for Kiwami, but for the entire series. There's a reason players are drawn to new hardware. They want new experiences. Right now, someone picking up a Switch 2 for the first time might not even consider diving into a series that started on older hardware. But if Kiwami received an enhanced version, one that takes full advantage of the new system, suddenly it's not just an option, it's actually a very real entry point. And that's how franchises grow and succeed. A well-optimized Kiwami on Switch 2 wouldn't just be a great way to revisit a classic, it would potentially pull in new players, setting the stage for Kiwami 2, Yakuza 0, and eventually, hopefully, the Like a Dragon era. Give players a smooth, polished way to start the journey, and I think, in my opinion, the rest will follow. And there's a lot of games that this can go for, it's not just Yakuza. The same logic applies to, let's say, games like Ghost Runner. A Switch 2 version of the sequel would be exciting, but how much more impactful would that launch be if the original also received some sort of upgrade? You know, a stronger first game means a stronger launch for its sequel, the kind of momentum that can turn an overlooked title into a true staple of the platform. And yeah, I admit here, like maybe it's just me with this kind of opinion, but this isn't just about performance boost generally when I think about upgrades, it's about building the future of these franchises on Nintendo hardware. It would make them, yeah, so much bigger. So yeah, some games survived on the Switch, others deserved more than survival. To me, I'm hoping at least, the Switch 2 isn't just about new games, it's going to be about unfinished business. It's about taking compromised visions and finally delivering them as they were meant to be played. Some of these games pushed beyond what was reasonable for the hardware, while others were simply let down by rushed ports or technical limitations. Well, now they have the chance to be more than just playable, they can be definitive. Whether it's through performance boosts, visual upgrades, or simply the natural benefit of stronger hardware eliminating past struggles, the Switch 2 has the potential to take great games and make them even better. And look, some of these titles again deserved better from the start, but for others, I think this is an opportunity to reach new audiences entirely. So whether developers take that opportunity remains to be seen, whether Nintendo allows developers to have this opportunity also remains to be seen. But for these games today that I've discussed, it wouldn't just be an upgrade, it's a second chance at greatness. If you did enjoy the video today, then do me a favor, subscribe, it helps out the channel a huge amount. Yeah, see you all on the next one. Cheers all.